If you keep avoiding your finances, it's not because you're bad with money. It's because your brain is trying to keep you from feeling something.
Today, you'll learn why financial procrastination has almost nothing to do with discipline. And you'll leave with a simple 2-minute way to break the avoidance loop and start taking control again.
This is the Latitude Adjustment, positive psychology podcast with Erica Schwarting-Harrison.
That's me.
And Randolph Rusty Harrison.
That's you.
This is where adventure, psychology, and intentional living help you navigate life's next chapter.
Imagine this. You're standing barefoot on the deck of a small sailboat offshore. Not too far out, just close enough that you can still hear music drifting from a beach bar, and close enough that the water is that clear Caribbean blue where you can see straight down to the sand. The boat, it's gently rocking, a slow, steady rhythm that makes you feel like everything is under control. And sitting on the table beside you is a waterproof envelope. It's been there all day. You noticed it this morning. You moved it once to make space for your coffee. You told yourself you'd open it after lunch, but you didn't. Now the sun is starting to drop, and the light is turning that soft gold that makes everything look calmer than it really is. You glance at the envelope again. You already know what it is. It's something financial, something you've been meaning to deal with, something that probably requires a decision. And here's the strange part. There's no storm, no emergency, no one yelling at you, just a subtle hesitation. A small tightening in your chest that not right now, a gentle nudge from your own mind saying, let's enjoy this moment instead. So you do. You look out at the water. You take a deep breath. You let the envelope sit there just a little longer. And for a moment, it works. You feel better, lighter, free. But underneath that calm, something is still there. Because the envelope, it didn't go anywhere. It's still on the table, still waiting, still quietly asking for your attention. And the longer it sits there, the heavier it feels. Not in your hands, but in your head. And the question drifting in with the tide is this. If this matters so much, why is it so hard to open? And if you're honest, it's not just the envelope. It's the thought that follows it around. That quiet mental tab that never fully closes. You're at dinner. It's there. You're on a walk. It's there. You're trying to relax. And there's just enough background tension to remind you, there's something I'm not dealing with. And it doesn't scream. It just whispers. Just enough to take the edge off your peace.
From palm fringe docs to kitchen table wisdom, this is the Latitude Adjustment, inductee of the Positive Change Podcast Awards Hall of Fame and named Podcast of the Year by the American Writing Awards. Hosted by Erica and Rusty Harrison, co-creators and award-winning authors of A Guide for Aging Heroes, this story-driven show blends adventure with applied psychology, plus one simple Aging Heroes challenge to help you rebuild your life with more calm, courage, and intention. Climb aboard, we're setting sail.
All right, here's what we're zeroing in on today.
What are we going to zero in on, Rusty?
Financial procrastination.
Ooh-wee.
And it's not about laziness.
Good.
Or a lack of intelligence.
Oh, thank God.
Or not knowing what to do. It's about emotion.
Ooh, because most financial tasks aren't neutral. They come with feelings, uncertainty, fear of what you'll find, guilt about past choices, overwhelm about what to do next. All of these are really resonating. And your brain, it has one priority in moments like that. You ready?
Yep.
Reduce discomfort.
So instead of opening the envelope, reviewing the account, or making the plan, your brain offers you something faster. avoid it.
Yes.
Doom scroll, delay,
Ooh.
distract. And here's the kicker. That actually works
See, I told you it works.
for a few minutes.
Aw, shit. Because procrastination, it isn't random. It's just a short-term mood repair strategy, right?
That's important. So say it again.
Okay. Procrastination is a temporary strategy for dealing with uncomfortable feelings. It gives you relief, it lowers anxiety, it buys you a little emotional space. But the cost, that shows up later.
And this is where it becomes a real problem because money doesn't sit still. While you're avoiding, investments aren't growing, debts are accumulating, and your options are narrowing. And the gap between what you know and what you're doing starts to widen.
And then gradually, something insidious happens. Avoidance turns into identity. You stop saying, I haven't dealt with this yet. And you start saying, I'm just not good with money.
And once that story sets in, the behavior feels permanent, like this is just who you are. But it's not. It's just a pattern, and patterns can always be changed.
So today, we're not teaching spreadsheets or budgets. Thank God, right? We're answering a deeper question. Why does your brain resist something this important? And how do you deal with it? Alrighty, mates, let's ease off the sails for a second and do a segment 1 recap. Here's the problem. Financial procrastination is driven by emotional avoidance, not laziness. Why it matters. Avoidance compounds into stress, lost opportunities, and negative identity-based beliefs about money. And the core question, how do you take action when your brain is trying to protect you from discomfort?
In segment 2, we'll break this down. What's happening psychologically, why it's completely normal, and why even capable people get stuck on this. All right, let's take the emotion out of this for a minute and look at what's actually happening under the hood.
No more drama, people.
Financial procrastination is not random. It follows predictable psychological patterns. And once you understand those patterns, the behavior stops feeling like failure and starts making sense. Buckle up, folks. The psychological processes that result in financial avoidance are myriad.
We'll start with something foundational, present bias. It's also called hyperbolic discounting.
Hyperbolic discounting.
Yeah, your brain, it's wired to prioritize immediate reward over future benefit. So spending money today feels real. Saving for retirement feels abstract.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So even when you know the long-term move is smarter, your brain pulls you towards what feels good right now. But feeling true and being true are not always the same thing.
So many of our issues result directly from evolutionary psychology.
Yeah.
That we were wired to live 50,000 years ago.
Yeah. So are you saying I can continue to live like a cave woman?
You're wired to live like a cave woman.
I'm going to balance my checkbook like a cave woman.
Okay, so this isn't just poor discipline. In unstable and uncertain environments, choosing the immediate reward can actually be an adaptive response. If the future feels unsure, your brain leans toward what's guaranteed in the present. So, what looks like poor planning can actually be your brain trying to reduce risk.
I hear ya. Second, emotion regulation. Emotion regulation. And this is where things get personal, right? Financial tasks trigger real emotional responses. So anxiety about what you'll see, guilt about past decisions, maybe fear of making the wrong move or shame about where things stand. So what your brain does is what it's designed to do. It protects you.
And the protection strategy is simple. Avoid the thing that causes discomfort, because your brain has learned looking at this equals emotional pain. You know, that waterproof envelope.
Yeah. And I think that probably stretches beyond just finances, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's everything on your to-do list that you dread.
That's right. That's right.
So it redirects you towards something that feels better in the moment.
This creates what researchers describe as a shame-avoidance loop.
Shame-avoidance.
Yeah. Keep that in the forefront of your brain. You avoid looking at your finances, which gives you short-term relief. But the situation, well, that doesn't improve, which then increases stress, which increases shame, which makes you even less likely to look next time.
And that loop is powerful because it's self-reinforcing.
Ooh.
Avoidance reduces discomfort in the short term, which teaches your brain to keep doing it.
Got it. Now, layer in something called scarcity mindset.
Scarcity mindset.
Yeah. When resources feel limited, money, time, stability, your brain shifts into a different operating mode.
Researchers call this a cognitive load problem. When you're worried about money, it consumes mental bandwidth, and it isn't subtle. Some studies suggest that financial stress can reduce cognitive performance at a level comparable to losing a full night's sleep or dropping significant IQ points.
In practical terms, you're not just stressed about money. You're trying to make decisions with an exhausted brain.
And then there's something called the tunneling effect.
Ooh, that sounds interesting. Tunneling effect.
When you're under financial pressure, your brain locks in on immediate problems. What bill do I need to pay today? What do I need to cover right now?
And while that focus helps you survive in the moment, it comes at a cost. Long-term planning gets pushed aside. Savings, investing, future decisions, those all require mental space that tunneling shuts down.
So again, what looks like poor planning is often your brain prioritizing immediate survival over long-term optimization. In evolutionary psychology, think of a caveman. That immediate priority is often life and death. So of course, it's going to take precedence over long-term planning.
Yeah. Okay, so third, we need to talk about financial self-efficacy. This is your belief in your ability to manage money more effectively, financial self-efficacy, and it matters a lot.
If you believe, even in the depths of your mind, I'm not good with money. I always mess this up. I don't understand this stuff. Well, your brain will avoid certain situations, and that will reinforce that I'm bad with money identity.
Yeah, because protecting your sense of self, it's a priority. Avoidance becomes a way to avoid confirming a painful belief.
Okay, fourth, future self-disconnection.
That's interesting, though. Future self-disconnection. Tell us more.
Yeah, your brain does not fully experience your future self as you. It experiences that version of you almost like it's a different person.
So when you choose between spending now or saving for later, it doesn't feel like I'm helping myself. It feels like I'm giving something up for someone else. Your future self actually feels like someone you don't know, someone who isn't you.
And while it can and does happen sometimes, we are not wired to sacrifice for a stranger, even if that stranger is yourself 10 years from now.
Fifth is what's called loss aversion.
Loss aversion.
Yeah, psychologically, losing something feels about twice as painful as gaining something feels good. So saving money, for example, doesn't feel like progress. It feels like loss.
That is fascinating. So you're not thinking, I'm building security.
Right.
Your brain is thinking, I'm giving something up right now.
Now you're on to it. Next is choice overload. Too many options can shut people down completely. That's choice overload.
Think of a menu at a restaurant.
Right.
If there are 10,000 choices, it's very difficult.
It's so overwhelming, right? It's the same thing with like investment choices, debt strategies, savings plans, apps, accounts, systems, all of it.
When the brain is overwhelmed with options, it doesn't optimize, it freezes. Deer in the headlights. Because making the wrong decision feels worse than making no decision.
Ooh. Now, one more layer. It's money scripts. Money scripts. These are unconscious beliefs about money that you learned early in life.
Things like money is stressful. We don't talk about money. Spending equals love.
It does equal love, Rusty. It does.
And having money means you're selfish.
And the tricky part is you don't question these scripts. You just simply operate from them automatically.
And then there's social comparison.
This sounds like another layer to our cake.
Yes, one more freaking layer. You see how others live, and your brain quietly adjusts your expectations, not based on your reality, but based on what looks normal around you. So this is why 20-somethings often feel like they should be living the same lifestyle as their parents who've been working for 30 years.
I see. So now let's step back and look at the full picture. You prefer immediate rewards. You avoid emotional discomfort. Your mental bandwidth is reduced under stress. Your brain prioritizes short-term survival. You doubt your ability. You feel disconnected from your future. You experience savings as a loss. You feel overwhelmed by options, and you're running unconscious beliefs you didn't choose.
Right. Those unconscious beliefs were infused in you in childhood. They are the comments you've heard a million times growing up.
Yeah.
Of course you procrastinate. It's not failure.
No.
That's a system doing exactly what it was designed to do.
And this leads directly to the consequences we talked about earlier. Missed opportunities for growth, increased debt by delayed action, and something researchers call a scarcity tax. This is where financial stress reduces your ability to think clearly, which then leads to decisions that create more stress.
And that's the loop. Avoidance leads to stress, which leads to reduced clarity, which leads to more avoidance.
Here's the most important point of this entire segment. This pattern is understandable. It is not about a personal flaw. It's not a lack of intelligence. It is a predictable interaction between emotion, cognition, and environment.
Which means something powerful. If the pattern was learned, it can be unlearned.
Let's steady the boat here and do a segment 2 recap. Financial procrastination is driven by predictable psychological forces. Present bias prioritizes now over later. Emotional regulation avoids discomfort. Scarcity reduces mental bandwidth and creates tunnel vision. Low self-efficacy reinforces avoidance. Future disconnection weakens long-term thinking. Loss aversion makes saving feel like loss. Choice overload creates paralysis. And money scripts and social comparison shape behavior automatically.
And the result is a loop. Avoidance leads to stress. Stress reduces clarity and the result is a loop. Avoidance leads to stress. Stress reduces clarity, and reduced clarity leads to more avoidance.
But this is the key. This is not a character issue, it's a pattern.
And in segment 3, we'll show you how to break it without overwhelm, without perfection, and without needing to figure everything out first.
All right, mates, let's lean into making the change. You're not trying to become better with money. You are training your brain to tolerate small amounts of financial discomfort long enough to take action.
Because once you understand that procrastination is emotional and not logical, the strategy changes. You don't need more information. You need an easier first step.
Ooh, I'm breaking out my notebook and I'm going to take some notes on this.
Right?
Most people think the goal is sit down, figure everything out, and make a full plan. That's exactly why they don't start, because that feels heavy, complicated, final. How many times have you heard me say that?
Instead, we're giving you a different approach. You're not solving your finances. You're interrupting the avoidance loop.
Ooh, interrupting the avoidance loop. In real life, that looks a lot smaller than people expect. It looks like opening one statement, not all of them. Logging into one account, not organizing your entire financial life. Looking at one number without trying to fix it.
Here's where people get tripped up. They think, if I'm not fixing it, what's the point? But the point is not fixing. The point is exposure.
You're teaching your brain, this is uncomfortable and I can handle it. Because once your brain stops associating money with threat, action becomes easier.
Let's make this even more practical.
I love practical.
Okay, you sit down, you open the account,
All right.
you see the number,
I'm looking at it.
and your brain immediately wants to react.
Yes.
Close it, avoid this, deal with it later.
Instead of following that impulse, you do something very simple. You stay just for a minute. Don't fix it, don't judge, no spiraling, just stay with it.
That 1 minute is the work. And this is where most people underestimate what's happening because it looks small from the outside. You opened an account, you looked at a number, you stayed there for a minute. That doesn't look like progress, but psychologically, it's huge.
Because what you're really doing is changing your relationship with discomfort. Before, discomfort meant get out, avoid, delay. Now it starts to mean stay, look, breathe.
And that change right there is what allows everything else to follow. Because once you can stay with it, you can understand it. Once you understand it, you can influence it. And once you influence it, you can change it.
And this is also where confidence actually comes from. Not from knowing everything, not from having the perfect plan, but from evidence, small moments where you showed up and handled it.
Yeah, confidence is built like this. I looked, I stayed, I didn't fall apart. I can do that again.
And once that starts to build, the task itself doesn't change, you do.
Yeah, because consistency rewires patterns, not effort, not pressure, just repetition.
And then, this is important, you take one small action that matches the person you're becoming, not the person who has it all figured out, the person who is starting to deal with it.
Because identity changes through behavior, not declarations or intentions, but patterns.
So instead of saying, I need to get my finances together, you shift to, I'm becoming someone who faces this.
And that shows up in tiny, repeatable ways. You check instead of avoid. You look instead of guess. You act instead of delay.
Okay, Rusty, let's address something directly. A lot of people are afraid that once they start, they're going to feel worse. And for a moment, that's true. Right?
Yeah.
You might feel worse. You might have regret. There could be some frustration, maybe even a little embarrassment.
But here's the trade. Short-term discomfort for long-term control versus short-term relief for long-term stress.
That's the real decision. Not, should I deal with money, but which discomfort am I choosing?
And aging heroes don't wait until something feels easy. They build the capacity to do it while it feels uncomfortable. So now it's time for...
Yes.
This week's Aging Heroes Challenge.
Here's your challenge this week, folks. Keep it simple. Keep it repeatable. Do this once a day for 7 days. Number 1, set a timer for 5 minutes. Number 2, open one financial item. That might be open an account, a statement, a bill, just one thing. Number 3, look at it without trying to fix everything. Just look. Number 4, take one small action. Pay something, move money, or simply note what you see. And number 5, stop when the timer ends.
And one quick note before we move on. If 5 minutes feels like too much on a given day, make it 2. The goal is not intensity. The goal is consistency.
You've got it. It's that simple.
And that's it. 5 minutes. You're not trying to solve your finances this week. You are breaking the avoidance pattern.
And if resistance shows up, and it will, use this simple reframe. I'm not restricting my life. I'm buying my future freedom.
And one more tool. If, then planning. If I feel the urge to avoid, then I will start the 5-minute timer anyway.
All right, mates, let's bring this into calmer water with a segment 3 recap. The mindset shift. You're not fixing your finances. You're training your brain to tolerate discomfort long enough to act. Real life, small exposure builds confidence and breaks the avoidance loop. The challenge, the 5-minute financial reset. One item, one action, one timer.
In segment 4, we'll land this episode, how we want you to feel leaving, and the truth we want you to carry forward as you start showing up differently with money. All right, crew, let's bring this in gently.
You can do it, Rusty. You can do it. Bring it in gently.
If money has been something you've avoided, something you've put off, something that's quietly followed you around like a shadow.
Erica.
You're not broken, Erica. You're human.
And more importantly, you're not stuck, because what we've been talking about today isn't a personality trait. It's a pattern. And we all know patterns can change.
You don't need to become a completely different person. You don't need a perfect system. You don't need to fix everything at once. You just need to start showing up a little differently in small, repeatable ways.
And we want you to feel 2 things as you leave this episode. Remember, relief, it's not because there's something wrong with you. Agency, because you can do something about it.
And here's the truth we want you to carry forward. Avoidance grows fear. This is true in every domain of life. Action, even small action, shrinks it.
Avoidance is exhausting. Not dealing with money doesn't create peace. It creates background tension, a low-level hum that never fully turns off. So keep that in mind.
So when you take action, even a small one, you're not just improving your finances, you're giving your mind somewhere to rest.
And that's why this matters beyond numbers, because what you're really building here is trust with yourself.
Trust says, I handle what's in front of me. Not perfectly, not all at once, but at least consistently.
And when that trust begins to grow, money stops being something you avoid and it starts becoming something you simply navigate.
And if you've been waiting for the moment when you feel fully ready to deal with all this, that moment doesn't show up.
No.
Readiness is not a feeling. It's something you build through action.
So don't wait until it feels easy. You make it easier by starting small. It can be 5 minutes, one account, one decision. That's how things change.
Aging heroes don't wait until they feel ready. They move while it's still a little uncomfortable. It's like jumping into cold water.
Mm-hmm.
They look at what's real. They deal with what's in front of them. They build trust with themselves, one small action at a time.
If you've been carrying financial stress, you don't have to carry it alone anymore. You can face it. You can change it. And you can do it without overwhelming yourself.
Now, Erica is very supportive of financial responsibility.
Oh my God, where is this going?
As long as it doesn't interfere with a perfectly good trip to TJ Maxx.
Okay, wait a minute. I am extremely responsible. I just believe in strategic joy.
Strategic joy? Is that what you're calling the seventh pair of slightly different sandals?
They're not slightly different. They're completely different emotional experiences, Rusty.
Oh, yes. This handbag represents a new chapter.
Some of us are building a visually cohesive identity.
At TJ Maxx.
And thrift stores. Let's not leave out the sustainability piece.
Right. Saving the planet one handbag at a time.
Oh, you laugh now. But when I find a designer handbag for $8, that's not spending. That's a financial victory. We are diversified.
You're diversified into footwear.
And I regret nothing.
And that right there is why we're having this episode.
You're so sweet.
All right, let's do an episode recap. Financial procrastination and the avoidance loop.
You've got it. In segment 1, we named the problem. Financial procrastination is emotional avoidance, not laziness.
Segment 2, we broke down the psychology, present bias, emotion regulation, self-efficacy, future self-disconnection, loss aversion, and choice overload.
In segment 3, we introduced the shift. Start small, build exposure, and use the 5-minute financial reset to break the pattern.
And in segment 4, we landed with relief and agency. You're not broken, and small actions can change everything.
Thank you all so much for listening. Thank you for showing up and for doing the work, even when it's uncomfortable, because that's what aging heroes do. If this episode hit your heart, if it spoke to you, share it. Text a friend, tag us, and go follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Aging Heroes. You can also find our full tribe at www.agingheroes.com.
Next time on the Latitude Adjustment Positive Psychology Podcast, we're talking about why letting go of stuff feels so hard and why it has almost nothing to do with the stuff.
Closets, garages, storage units, the drawer you swear you'll organize someday. It's not just clutter, it's identity, memory, fear, and a whole lot of, what if I need this later?
We'll break down why your brain treats objects like emotional insurance policies, how clutter quietly drains your energy and attention, and why letting go can feel weirdly like grief even when you want the space.
Plus, one simple Aging Heroes challenge to help you release just enough to feel lighter without turning your house into a minimalist museum or triggering a full identity crisis.
That's next time, and trust us, you're going to look at your stuff very differently.
Until then, open the envelope, start small, and just keep adjusting your latitude.